just now we talk about the bank crisis in China, and I mentioned that in China the bank bad loan even more severe than any other East Asian financial turmoil country, and no matter it's Thailand or Malaysia, or Indonesia, or South Korea, and no one have such kind of high percentage of the bad loan to the whole of the bank assets. And I left a question: how China deal with such kind of severe financial situation? And according to the international regulation, if your bad loan, the percentage of the bad loan or to the total assets above than the total self capital in the bank, that must be bankrupted. And but in China, and there is a different outcome. And the first, few people understand the state-owned enterprises and state-owned the bank. The credit not caused by the self-capital. The credit created by the national sovereignty, by this independent country. And the how strong of this country have their independence, their sovereignty, how strong have the bank credit. So no matter how big percentage of the bad loan, that is just the case. It not means that it cannot be solved. So in China, it's a very clear picture that the central governments take almost all of this bad loan, almost all the cents, all the bad loan out of the bank, and refund the bank, and to catch the level of the Basel first. Means that this bank can be a kind of refreshed bank and have a new life, and then going to the market to join the competition. Whatever they have done as a bad things, out of the bank. And then, because China have a full big state-owned bank, it is China Industrial and Commercial Bank, and the China Construction Bank, China Agriculture Bank, and China Bank. And so every bank, the central government set up a kind of assets management company. So we have a full big assets management company. Every bank have one. So means that this assets management company only manage the bad loan taken from the bank to sell or to buy or to take whatever. To make this bad loan to be the assets, maybe you can understand, maybe you need to think about what is the concept. But I remember that I sometimes gave you my lecture, I talk about how these Western countries, especially United States, to make the government's bonds, means to make the government's physical debts into the government's bonds, and then to sell the bonds, to issue the new paper currency to buy the bonds, and that means that the physical debts turn to the assets. So the governments never need to pay all the physical deficit. The deficit can be used as a kind of new form, new type of the assets in the financial markets. So the same, if you have a kind of monopoly controlled the power inside one country, no any challenge, means that it's absolutely power, can have absolutely credit. And this credit means that means that you take the full responsibility, not limited responsibility. So that is you can think about thousands of years East Asian country like China, with a thousand years political history. The state, the country, the state, always think that the state take all the responsibility to cover all the people if you are a member of this country. That is originally criticized by Western philosophy, said the Eastern countries have a kind of father's love. And so they said 父爱主义. I don't know how to translate into English, but anyway means that father, as a father, gave his love to all the children. So there's a kind of emperor to take all the responsibility for whole people. That is a traditional political system, traditional political culture, and also the political philosophy. Until now, means that the central governments is a kind of representative of the whole people, and then to care about this country's long-term future. So nowadays, even they do some things not good, but indeed, the whole responsibility should be taken by the central. So the local is a kind of limited responsibility governments. Central is unlimited governments. So the unlimited governments control the financial system. So the financial system means that the government's credit became the currency credit. That is a kind of explanation. And you can change another way to think about that. What is this money? The credit caused by what? And does not come from the gold, because now the whole world gave up the gold reserve system. And then every people knows that almost all its hard currency is soft enough. No any currency is hard currency, because no any currency can be changed back into the gold or silver and whatever, because the system has been collapsed. And then let me tell you that almost all the hard currency, all this paper money, the credit have only one resources. That is source from the political regime. So nowadays, if we talk about the 21st century, it's a financial globalization, it's a financial competition in the world. So there's the only country, the only state is the state joined the global competition, not by individual. No anyone can join the global competition except state. Because nowadays in the 21st century, the competition is a financial competition. It's a financial capital competition, not by others. The financial capital is a credit. The credit only can come from the state sovereignty. So this is why I gave you this explanation about late 1990s. China have a more severe financial crisis, much severe than any others. Out of China, all of others, their financial system collapsed. More easier to be attacked by these venture investments, by these so-called financial evil. They can free flow into Thailand or South Korea and whatever. They all win. In these countries, these venture investors, they win. But in China, they failed. Because nobody can do such kind of things. Like I mentioned, I gave the explanation. I described how Chinese government did it. Just you have no such kind of imagination. How can a government just take all the bad loans out of the bank? Up to now, we still have these 4 big asset management company. They still be there. From 1997 until now, there's 30 years past. They still be there one to another to deal with this so-called bad loan. And then, but it's not loan up now. They became a kind of assets. They sell a little bit and sell a little bit, and maybe this assets can be changed into the shares. So nowadays, some part of the bad loan has been the shares controlled by this company. This company, they are a kind of shareholders company. They have many shares in different SOE, state-owned enterprises. You are a kind of airport management company. You have a large number of bad loans, now all become the shares controlled by another one. So that's the game. Think about it. It's a fantastic game. In this new century, in the 21st century, the country now became the player of the game. Directly join this competition. So which one is the big? The biggest nowadays, you can see the top one bank in the world is ICBC. China, this industrial and commercial bank, now became the top one bank in the world. But 20 years ago, this bank should be collapsed. The top 4 is the China Construction Bank. And the top 7 is China Agricultural Bank. The top 11 is China's bank, Bank of China. Still be there, alive. And then can be the top, from the top 1 to top 11. It's all these 4 big state bank. But they originally 20 years must be collapsed. So this such kind of game, how does China play the game like this one? We need to take into the consideration and then compare with any other countries. So this game player have a different way to play such kind of global financial competition game since late 1990s. So from the first overproduction crisis, in Western countries, that is turned to what kind of outcome? From East country, especially from China, turn to what kind of outcome? In West countries, turn to the Second World War, to massacre thousands of people, many millions. But in East, in China, you compare historically compare these 2 outcomes. You can see that why the Chinese as a kind of civilization for thousands of years still be there, include many different civilizations. Okay, so this time when we talk about how the global crisis impacted China to make China have a kind of the first overproduction crisis. This overproduction crisis combining other crises means that this crisis also combining the financial crisis, and the financial crisis more severe than any other East Asian financial turmoil country. And then how China plays such kind of game, and then recovered, and then 20 years later became these top banks in the world. So that is a very valuable analysis. I hope you pay attention to. Here we can see that these years originally is a great grow up, and then here so-called 4 years depression is the foreign trade, export import, stagnant, no increase until the 2002. Because of 2001 IT bubble break and large amount of FDI flow China, and then they controlled exports. And nowadays, from 2002, the exports mainly created by foreign invested company. Okay, next. Here also, it's a CPI, China Consumers Price Index, CPI. The CPI here, from the 1997 to the 2002, and from 2002 increased. But these 3 years is a so-called deflation. Deflation means depression. And here also, caused by these years, large number of the capital flow out of the East Asian countries, including China, flow to inside, into United States for IT industries. So there's a new economy period. The FDI, not increments, remain at a low level, and then until 2002 increase again. So these data shows that in the late 1990s, East Asian as a whole, as an area, have a similar crisis. China not accept, not escaped. China is a single case, but doesn't mean that China not had such kind of crisis. China had similar crisis, even more bad situation than others. Okay, so there's a page detailed tell you that how China choose the measures to deal with such kind of crisis. And so the macro level, I mean, as I mentioned, in 1990s, Chinese central policy circles still insist on the marketization. So they are trying to put the education, even the medical sector, the medical service, into the markets, to make a lot of private investments into the education, into the hospitals. And so the hospital need to take the money from the common people. And also education need to take the money from common people. So a lot of family, if they have a case into the university, this family became poor. And if the family have some people ill, aiding people ill, this family became poor. So it's because of they privatize a lot of public sector. So this public, it means that privatization, marketization, globalization, liberalization, all of these decisions in 1990s still in the mainstream in China. And then they also made very important policy to push these SOE workers going to so-called going to market, but indeed it's unemployed. And then large number of the layoff workers going to the street. There are many social conflicts. And so, but in the macro level, they do a lot of things like marketization. But in another side, at the macro level, the macro level means that the financial and the fiscal system, and they do something like going long, not going short, but going long. So in the low level, in macro level, they do something as a going short, but in the high level, in the macro level, they do something going long. So mainly that is they close down this private investment bank and foreign capital investment bank, and also close down the farmers, the peasants, so-called credit. Collectives, something like that, but it's not exactly mainly controlled by the local elites. It's partially private, and so these are all closed, and over-the-counter trade also closed, and only the stock market is maintained as controlled by the state. Means that this measures means that almost all these private financial sector, including financial foreign invested financial sector, closed down, and only maintain state-owned enterprises and state-owned financial sector. That is from the macro level, means the high levels measures. They strengthen the monopoly control of the financial sector. That is different. And you may know that in the United States, there are almost 8,000 banks, all private. So Federal Reserve is a bankers' organization. But in China, central bank is exactly governments. And these are big four, control more than 70% of the financial assets in China. They are monopoly controlled. The state bank. So that's different system. So nowadays the competition, global financial competition, mainly is a two-system competition. One is a private bank system, another is state bank system. These are two systems compete together in the global financial markets. So I will give more explanation later, but nowadays that's just telling you that how that they close down this private sector in financial area. Okay, and then here it's doubled the physical bonds annually. Originally, every year they only have 50 billion, and since 1998, more than 100 billion, and then nowadays it became 300 billion and something, so increased more fast. And then the third one is that to stabilize the peasants' land rights. So, and these are measures that is I summarized of later 1990s government's measures deal with the crisis. And then the conclusion is very interesting. I have this one maybe very charitable. I said, and the Roosevelt New Deal and the late 1990s Chinese deal all are new statism. But it's just partially the deal with the crisis, not the whole. And China and United States turn to the high increments is caused by outside, not inside, caused by the external factor, not internal factor. United States caused by the Pearl Harbor accident, and then to push United States into the Second World War. And then the war is a big demand to make the industries goes high. That is a external factor to solve the problem of the big depression. But in China, it's caused by 2001 IT bubble break, new economic bubble break, and then large number of the foreign capital flow into China, and then to make the foreign capital control exports, make the GDP increment again. So that is both are external factor to solve the problems of the crisis. One is in 1930s in United States. Another is 1990s in China. We all can make this phenomena into one theoretical concept. That is new statism. And when we finish this one, we can give you the more detailed about the Western countries' overproduction crisis. Here you can see very clear that is before Roosevelt, the president of United States, Hoover, make a kind of more severe crisis because of he believes the liberalism. And so Roosevelt believed statism. So he make the economic growth much better than before. So this downgrade is upgrade. And but Roosevelt still have a kind of new depression. By Pearl Harbor attack, the war demand make the industries higher than before, or not here. So this, so because of the war. So that is this one is GDP per capita. This one is normal GDP, full normal GDP. So you can see that here, what is his measures of Roosevelt? Bank closed. As I mentioned, in China, we also have a bank closed. And then the gold convertibility suspended. And this is also the gold reserve system. And suspended. But depression begins in the US because of this one, this Hoover's, and then World War II begins in Europe to make American industries goes high. So these pictures are very clear to show that what happened in the 1930s to 1940s. And here to show that not the United States, but also UK and France and Germany all have very bad situation in industries. And then the most severe is the United States, and then second one is Germany. And then their commercial capital also that's very bad. So here is these are 4 countries. And foreign trade, look, decreased 70%. And then here Germany is decreased more than 60%. So unemployment here, look, it's more than 600 in the United States. And then this Germany is 200. So these are from 29 to 32, before Roosevelt New Deal, the situation, economic situation in the world, led by these so-called liberalist politicians, and going worse and worse. And also, I need to mention that the Second World War initiated by this liberalist country, not by statist country. And because they all believe that liberalism, so they all falling into the depressions, and they fight each other. So these historical events need to reflect in modern situation to understand what is the real happen. Here, look at this. I used this picture several times, but you need to pay attention to this one. And from Zhu Rongji to Wen Jiabao, they have 15 years of big investments. And then they make the GDP goes high, similar as just now I showed the picture as a Roosevelt. And even they have a little bit depression, but the long-term trends is an increment until the new crisis happened. That is Wall Street financial turmoil happened again. And then foreign demand decreased, and then GDP decreased also. So when we see that's when Zhu deal with the financial turmoil in East Asian countries, and overproduction happened in China, combining the deflation and the bank bad loans, and similar as Roosevelt, he received by high investments, and and also trying to deal with the 40 million SOE workers layoff. So we can see that these measures, no matter what is the ideology, what is this political regime, when they facing the challenge of the crisis, they must do something. That is more critical. So if you just believe they talk or they write into the documents, that means that you fool, not their fool. The writing documents is for something, but the reality is another thing. So we should do more studies on the reality, not pay too much energy to read these documents. And then here is the case, shows that how that they strengthen the state control. So from the same year when East Asian financial turmoil happened in the summer of 1997, so in the late autumn, China have a central conference, special talk about financial situation, and then they close down the whole of the peasants' credit funds or collectives, and then also they close down the over-counter trade of the stock markets, and then they close down the Hainan Development Bank, and then bankrupted the Guangdong National Investment Company, and both of these two joined by the private investors and the foreign investors, and but all have a very big bad loan, and so they closed down, and then to make the so-called the debts turn to the shares, by this full big assets management company. I have gave the detailed explanation about how they make the debts into the shares. Now they still be there to control these shares, but the shares originally are debts. I said it's a financial game. How to play game and who can have the rights to play the game, that is the problem. The game, the financial game in the 21st century, played by any country, in any country. But who have the right to play the game is the question. So when we see that these are social conflicts, we can see that we have several times have a much severe the social conflicts. The late 1990s is because of the overproduction. Late 1980s caused by the high inflation. And then here is that because of the global crisis and overseas demand largely decreased. So we have several times here also, and in the early 1980s, late 1970s, it's also because of the crisis. So all of these times, these are conflicts. One is the main factor, that is unemployment. If you have a large number of unemployment population, means there must be a kind of very high increment of the social conflicts. Here is these workers, when they lay off, they only can stay at the side of the street waiting for a job. So it means that he can do a lot of job as electric affairs, and then he can do some furniture and decoration. So they have different, but it's all became private. And here is that from the accelerated marketization, privatization, the social conflicts and mass incidents increased more faster since last year. Look, 1997, 1998, is that almost 10,000 mass incidents, and because of large number of unemployment. So these are pictures and data in the bars, just shows that it's a kind of regulation. No change by any political regime, no matter who is the leading party. If you have a large number of unemployment people, there must be a mass incidents and social conflicts. Here is shows that from the 1998, when Chinese issue large amount of the fiscal bonds, that means that fiscal bonds is the investments, and then these investments into different area. This one is agriculture and irrigation. Here is communication and information system. And here is the city's infrastructure construction. Here is the electricity network construction. Here is the storage of the green storage. Here is the real estate. So many different sectors all have the government's bonds investments. But sometimes you can see that it's mainly the public sector. And for big improvements of the infrastructure constructions. And then here to show that the total amount of the physical bonds, and these are 3 years. And then this picture to show that China have just several provinces, and it's the GDP growth higher, and then inland is very backward. So if governments invest into the inland, here you can see that from 1998, the government started to invest into inland, and the inland construction became more and more important. So now in 1998, it became put west and the central together. It's more than 50%. So these inland investments construction can be divided into 3 big state strategy. First one is the Western China development. Second one is Northeast China old industrial base reconstruction. The third one is that Made China Rising. So this one, Western China development, is a 3.6 trillion investments. And here is a 2 to 3 trillion for Northeast, and then another 2 to 3 trillion for Made China. So these are large number of investments. You can put them together. It's almost, that these two things. It's Zhu Rongji, when he was the premier, he made 2 state strategy, large amount of investments into the west and the northeast. The total amount is almost 6 trillion. And then Wen Jiabao also keep his strategy, and then keep to invest into the local. And then finally, you can have a kind of regional gap rebalance. And that is a very positive outcome, because nowadays, even you go to the United States, you can find the regional gap enlarged. If you go to Arizona, or go to some poor states, you can find that it's people here hopeless. So with some rich states, okay, that is GDP per capita still be very high. So even United States cannot solve the gap between different regions. So the regional gap in China solved by the government's fiscal bonds investments. So that is I said, fortunately, unfortunately. Anyway, the outcome is much better. Yeah, it's a big debt. Nowadays, you all know that China, the debt to GDP now is highest in the world. But the debts now caused by investments. So if you invest into the right field, that we will have a better outcome. But if you invest into you can compare. United States also have a large amount of bonds investments, but it's invest into the different field. You can do your analysis and you can find the difference. So we can have our conclusion, and let's give you this picture to show that when China have regained the high increments since 2002. I said it's the late 1990s Chinese overproduction crisis not solved by Chinese government itself, but by the IT bubble break. And because IT bubble break means a large number of the foreign capital reflow into China. And since the late 1990s, China started the infrastructure construction, have a much better the base for absorb this foreign capital. So the foreign capital seeking the chance, they found that China is a much better investments base, better than any other countries like India. At that time, India is a big market. But why this foreign capital wouldn't like to go to India? Because there's no infrastructure construction. At that time, even there's no 1 kilometer highway in India. Until late, the second decades of the 21st century, India started to initiate the infrastructure construction. They have semi-highway, freeway. Before that, they don't have freeway. And they have so-called highway, but it's not exactly. So if there is no perfect infrastructure construction, the foreign capital wouldn't like to invest into the developing country. So this time, from 2001, because of the crisis happened in Western countries, large number of these foreign capital not only invest into the currency, but also bring large number of machines, facilities, and the technologies. That is the new trends in the Western capitalist system, because this time they caused by the large amount of the deficit by this crisis. I said new economic crisis happened, and then they have created large of debts. So means that this time, caused by the debts, they got to bring all their machines, all the industries, move out from these Western countries. So Western countries, the industry become more and more empty. The physical production since the beginning of the 21st century mainly set up in China and some other developing countries. Not only Western countries, but also even like Taiwan, this area, and South Korea originally is a fully industrialized country. Almost all of these industries, all absorbed by China, because the infrastructure construction made China have a perfect system. You transport any commercial goods much faster than any other countries. So this time, from 21st century, China more deepen link, more strong link with the global economy. And then, but the global economy, we must understand, it still be a kind of capitalism. What is capitalism? Look at this, the relations. This physical economy now mainly is set up in developing country, like China. And then they give large amount of the commercial goods to Western countries. They take the benefits, but they have a current account deficit. These are manufacturing natural resources exports to the advantaged country. And then they have a large amount deficit, but they can create capital. So they have financial service, means that they transit this capital into physical economic developing countries in name of financial service. So they have a big service sector. And they also give the cultural impact. Give you impact to make you understand free trade, liberalism is the best one. So you believe, and then you do your transition. The more you do your transition, the more you transit the benefits to them, to these developed countries. And then they said, you cannot to invest your own money because you have no such kind of financial market. They have. So you have your current account surplus to do the foreign reserve reinvestments into their financial markets. And then they got the surplus. So the more deficit, the more surplus. That is the financial game. I just now mentioned the 21st century global financial market is a game. Who played the game is the problem, is the question. The game is the game. So if you are a capitalist country, the private bank play the financial game. So if you are a socialist country like China, the state play the financial game. Anyway, they all play the same game. So that is the Western advanced country control the capital markets. So they capitalize almost all the physical economic countries' resources, and then take large amount of benefits by these capitalist countries. That is when China deepened their relation with the global economy, China became such kind of developing country. And they have a virtual economy. They became more and more advanced. So they take advantage to be a kind of such kind of circle. Now they enable that circle as a so-called institutional advantage. Institutional advantage is not so bad because they do have big return by such kind of institutional construction. So that is a grand narrative. We must have our own discourse to talk such kind of grand narrative. Make ourselves understand who you are and where you are. We are here. And then, because you do a physical economy, so you need to develop a lot of natural resources, and then bad impact the environment. And then you have an environment and resources deficits. And then unsustainable growth. That is most of these countries like China. There are so many social conflicts caused by the bad impact of such kind of production styles. And also, you made a lot of social conflicts. So that is our cost. This cost transferred by your transition. So when we read this picture, we can know that caused by the crisis is China even solved the crisis, but solved the crisis mainly by West investments caused by Western crisis. And then finally, you can have such kind of relation with Western countries. And then the more and more Chinese industries controlled by foreign capital. So that is and then this picture to shows that how American new economic bubble break. Here, look, from 1995, I said 1994, there's a big change. WTO taking place, NAFTA, EU all taking place, caused by Soviet Union collapse. They took large amount of benefits by capitalized Soviet Unions and other Eastern European countries' natural resources and physical assets, because these countries never been monetization and capitalization. So it's a big benefits. And then they have also released control of this military information construction and Star War new tech, high tech. And when they release control of high tech, there are some kind of the .com company emerged. And then they go to the stock markets. Here is one, and one by another to make stock market goes high. And then to absorb large of the capital from overseas flow into United States, and then to make high and high, and until this one downgrade. That is the highest is more than Nasdaq. Highest is more than 5,000. The indicator shows, and then the 2001, the high-tech bubble break, decreased faster until the late 2001. And then 2002, there is almost the same level of this .com company go to public. It means that go back to the original. And then this foreign capital. This capital cannot stay inside in these capital markets. They flow out. So this picture shows that, and the total amount of this .com company, they lost $5 trillion. But there's another thing that's also need to take into the consideration. That is the Federal Reserve. Originally, they gave a very low interest rate to push the money flow into the market. And then 1999, here, when it's increased, and the early 2000s, Federal Reserve increased the rate six times than before. So that means that large number of the capital flow out. So Federal Reserve play a kind of role to trigger. So means that this one lost. This one, Federal Reserve can issue more paper money, and then can earn large number of the profits. So financial game, what is that? The game means that, okay, I created this credit, and then you use, and then you lost, and then I created more. That is a new century's global financialization's new game. We must know that, and then look at here. From that time, Americans' debts, that is a current account debts, increased more faster, because United States became a kind of country mainly produce money. They don't produce commercial goods. So it means that these commercial goods, they need to use their money to buy, and then they have a current account deficit. But they also have a large amount of the other countries' capital invested into United States. And then they can use other countries' money to buy other countries' assets. So this picture shows very interesting game. Who is the game winner? Is the highest debts, the biggest winner. That is the game when you play the game. So you must know what is the role of you inside of this game when you want to join this game to play. So here is one foreign capital flow in. You can see that the foreign capital in the coastal province. These are in Guangdong, these are in Jiangsu, the foreign capital mainly allocated in the coastal area and control the exports. So from that time, from the 2001, when these 2001, 2002, when the foreign capital flow in China more and more, that here is the bar is this one is the foreign capital flow in China, and then many control the coastal exports, and then these benefits flow to these foreign capital investments, and then it means that they take two sides profits. One that is when they invest into the developing country, they control the exports, and then your current account surplus taken by foreign capital, and then these foreign current account surplus reinvest into the Western countries' capital markets. They take second times profits. So they have two hands to take the profits, to play this game. So when the crisis over, when you regain the high growth, you need to do the analysis to know how that you lose, how and the others take this profit. And then you may have a new awareness to understand what is your position. And then also you can have a forehead. You can predict to know that what will be the next time's cyclical crisis. And here it shows that the exports and the import since 2002 is increased again. And this shows that I just mentioned because of foreign capital control. So even your gain is a high growth, but it means that this high growth not benefits yourself, as mainly benefits this overseas foreign capital. Okay, and I finish my lecture. Hope you can have some new new thoughts from this lecture. Thank you.